So here, I want to teach you about the integration of trigonometric functions. So I know a lot of students struggle with this, and I think the basis of that is you need a lot of basic understanding before you can integrate trigonometric functions. So you need to know all your basic integration for sine and cosine. Remember, integration of sec squared equals to tan x. You also need to know your double angles, sometimes your half angles, and also integration to become inverse sine, etc. So there's endless amounts of combinations with the trigonometric functions that they can ask you to do. And it's going to be impossible to do them unless you know these really, really well. So maybe just have a look at this before you move on, because otherwise it will, I promise you, get quite confusing otherwise. Okay, let's jump straight into it. I think that's the best way to learn. So here, question 10, we want to find integration from pi on 2 to 0, and we have sec squared times sine x, and it's on sec x, and it's telling us to use u equals to sine x. So straight away we know here we want to use the substitution method. On a side note, just throughout this section, we won't just be using the substitution method, yeah? We'll be using a couple of different methods. All right, back to this. So, as we always do, the first thing we want to do is differentiate this because it's quite easy to differentiate. We don't need to rearrange anything. So du on dx, differentiation of sine x is cos x. Flip the two. So dx equals to du on cos x. And now, because it's a definite integral, yeah, we always have to change the limits. So for x is pi on 2, substitute it into here, sine of that just equals to 1, okay? And when it's 0, sine of 0 just equals to 0. So now I have my new limits. So the first thing I do is change my limits to 1 and 0, and then this sine x just becomes u, and the dx becomes du on cos x, okay? So I've changed, remember how I said make sure you change 3 things at least? So that into u, limits, and also your dx. Okay, now having a look at this question here, can you see anything that may be very easy to cancel down before we move on? Yeah, there is, isn't it? Because sec x is essentially what? That's right, it's essentially just 1 on cos x, yeah? So if that's going to be cos x here, yeah, and it's multiplied in between there, you can essentially just cancel those. Can you see that? So I've just cancelled that. So that's why I'm left with just sec squared u du, because I've gotten rid of those two, okay? And now I can integrate that. So do you guys remember integration of sec squared gives you? Excellent, tan. So just from 1 to 0 here, put that in. So tan 1 minus tan 0, we know tan 0 is just 0. So your final answer is tan 1. Now, don't put this into the calculator and get the decimal places. It's always best to answer in the most exact form that you can, and tan 1 in this case is the most exact form. All right? Great. So this, you can see, it is the same idea as your substitution method, but there was a couple of things that you needed to be aware of. So you needed to know that sec x is the same as 1 on cos x. You need to know the integration of sec squared was tan. So can you see how with these questions, you're going to be pulling knowledge from all of your previous trigonometry pretty much? Okay,